Hello there, I'm Alison Thain, I'm the Chief Executive of the Fabrick Housing Group, and welcome to our Fabric of the Region broadcast looking at the key issues facing communities in the northeast of England. As this is the first in the series, I wanted to give you an overview of what the key priorities were facing communities in our region. Some of these priorities are being addressed but need further work. Some are really new and need the attention of our new government. And whilst the economic downturn and the increasing emphasis on the environment has put increased pressure on those of us working within communities, the basic needs remain the same. There are a number of issues facing communities in the northeast, but I think perhaps if I would just highlight three. One is about access to housing, to affordable housing and to home ownership. There are problems with financial inclusion, and there are problems too with antisocial behaviour and support for more vulnerable groups. There is really a housing crisis, and it doesn't matter whether or not we're talking about affordable housing or home ownership. But the reality is that most people, I think, aspire to home ownership, would like to own their own home, and lots of policies in the past have encouraged people to do that. And we're simply not building enough homes. The credit crunch has had a major impact on house builders. They're not producing enough homes. They weren't before the crunch, let alone now. So that's a big problem. The homes that are being built, people can't get access to mortgages on terms that they can afford. The days of the 100% mortgage has gone, and some say quite right. But young people now don't have the deposit needed by mortgage companies. So that's a major problem. So access to owner occupation is a problem for people, and we're not building enough affordable homes either. I mean, the National Housing Federation just did a survey of what's important to people on low and middle incomes in the run-up to the election, and 2/3 said access to affordable housing in its various forms was a key priority. Antisocial behaviour has been quite high profile, hasn't it? All this talk of broken Britain and talking about antisocial behaviour being a symptom of that. I don't go for that broken Britain thing, but that's not to say that there aren't problems of antisocial behaviour by a minority in a small number of areas, and it's really important that we have very, very strong policing to deal with that, because it's not good enough for people to have to put up with that kind of thing. But I think there's a much bigger issue here, and that's to do with antisocial behaviour as a symptom of other problems in communities, and often that's to do with lack of support for parenting skills, lack of support in getting kids to school. It can be a whole load of issues all tied up together that cause the problem. So I think we need policy response and a resources response as we move forward, as well as that very, very strong policing at a practical level. Well, young parents, I think in particular, do need a lot of support. We do have the highest teenage pregnancy rate in Europe, and that's associated with poverty, with child poverty too. So there's lots of reasons why it's not a good thing to have an unplanned pregnancy too early in your life. Not good for you, for your prospects, and not good for the children's prospects is the evidence. Yet with support, it can make all the difference. Support for parenting skills, support in just very basic things on how to budget, how to run a home, how to make sure that you get a doctor, registered with a doctor, that the children get registered in the right schools.
When I first come here, every penny that I got I blew. Didn't ever pay bills or nothing like that. I've come here, they've showed me how to budget and stuff, like I pay my TV licence, my water, my electric, my gas.
All that sort of stuff that a lot of people take for granted, some people do need support. Perhaps they haven't had good parenting themselves. They need support to be able to do that, to give the best start for their children. These issues and more will be addressed in future Fabric of the Region broadcasts, and then sent on to key policy and decision makers across the region. With the right action, we believe we can make a